So thank you, Anshul, for joining us today on Let's Talk Business series. So before we start, please do tell our viewers about Welspun One in brief, if you could.
Sure. Thanks for having me. I hope you and your family are safe, Kritika.
Yeah.
So, Welspun One Logistics Parks is the name of our organization, of our company, and it's part of the Welspun Group. If you know a little bit about Welspun Group, we are a $2.7 billion organization. We are present in 50 countries globally, have more than 26,000 employees, 4 large businesses listed with interest in textile, steel, pipes, infrastructure. And the latest addition, of course, is Welspun One, which is industrial real estate or warehousing. Uh, Welspun One is a very unique combination because it is backed by an industrial house, which does industries like builds real industries like textiles, as I said, pipes. We actually manufacture stuff. We build real stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Welspun One Logistics Parks is a warehousing industrial real estate business. So if you combine the two, it's a pretty powerful combination because you have a group that understands industrial well because they do it for themselves. And then if you add the industrial real estate component on that, so that kind of makes us a very unique business because we're the only ones in the country which is backed by a large group like Welspun, which brings a lot of synergies because we already understand how to buy land. We already understand how to build factories, industries, complicated structures. The types of warehouses we are building are at a group level much easier because we've built far more complicated structures or buildings at a group level. What's different is what was missing in the group, I guess, was a professional team that understands and focuses specifically on this business. And that's how Welspun One was born, where a focused institutional team was put in place, which builds focuses only on one thing, which is industrial real estate, which is commonly known as warehousing, and that's what the team does. The other kind of interesting thing about Welspun One is it's also a fund management business. It's a fund management and development management business combined. What I mean by that is, traditionally, if you look at funds anywhere in the world, whether India or globally, name any of the top funds like Blackstone, Warburg Pincus, any of the big guys. What's a fund, right? So a fund is it's a pooling vehicle for investors to put money with a trusted fund manager, which would then go out and suppose it's a real estate fund, for example, they would then go and back a real estate developer, right? So they would go and diligence a developer, trust a developer, back them, and then they would expect the developer to perform on behalf of the fund what they back them for. But effectively, what that traditional model does is you have to now trust the developer with your money, right? You have to trust the fact that the developer has to deliver, and you as a fund you have control, but you're really relying on the quality of the developer. And there are good developers and there are bad developers. India luckily has had quite a few good ones and some bad ones. The new age fund model, which Welspun One follows, is a little different, where we don't rely on anybody else. We have our in-house development capability exclusively, right? So we have our own development team, which we rely on ourselves. So literally from money in from the investor to the money back with returns to the investor is all controlled in one place. So as long as you've kind of vetted Welspun One as an investor and you're comfortable with Welspun One, there's in-house development capability. So the new age funds are now following that. There are a lot of funds which do that. Most of the warehousing organized companies who are already in India, like everybody, like Indospace, CSR, Logos, they're in a similar format. Certain large funds have also started building their in-house development teams because they would like to have more control, more clarity, more certainty, and more transparency in the business. So that's what Welspun One does.
So tell me how COVID-19 has really changed the way you have been doing the business.
Besides the fact that we're having a Zoom interview right now, which would ideally be in person, and I would love to actually meet you in person and do this interview. But Obviously the normal stuff which has changed for everybody has changed for us in terms of the way we do business. But I think for warehousing as a space, as a sector generally, what's changed is that uh, it was already happening, right? So people were already kind of shopping online.
Yeah.
People, uh, the convenience of your shelf space, your shop window being replaced by your tablet or mobile or laptop screen is huge. So today, if I know what I want to buy, a few things, and I just want to quickly go and buy them in Mumbai, Delhi, Pune, and even in smaller cities, like even in tier two cities, the time it takes for you to go to a mall and choose an item and kind of, it's almost half a day of a process. But on your laptop, you could do it in 5 minutes, right?
Right.
So that convenience was already there. We were already seeing that movement. All COVID did was accelerate that buying behavior, right? It kind of forced people to probably not for the right reasons, but forced people to buy pretty much everything online. So what that did is it's putting more pressure into having warehousing spaces ready so the goods can be shopped. So now what's happening is your shelf space in a mall would be replaced by a warehouse space, right? And typically if you look at warehousing rentals of retail space, so let's take Mumbai city as an example, right? So in Mumbai, if you would get a mall space at 200, 300, 400 rupees a square foot, you would get warehousing space for 1/10 of that, right?
Right.
So your cost of real estate goes down and your efficiency and convenience to the customer goes up. So I think what warehousing, one big thing that COVID-19 has done is accelerate that buying behavior trend, which is putting more pressure on developers to develop larger, better quality, safer, cleaner, grade A warehouses faster for our customers to be able for them to store. So that's one big change that COVID has done
So would
for the
you
sector.
say would you believe that warehousing would be the fastest to bounce back from the current crisis, while other segments in real estate would languish for a longer period?
I think I can't really comment that much on the other sectors of real estate, but in terms of COVID-19 impact on warehousing, it's a known fact that it's been the most resilient space
Yeah.
in during the pandemic. Again, these are not good reasons why any business should get headwinds or tailwinds. These are not reasons what anyone would hope for, but just because of the way the chips have fallen, this sector, along with data centers, right, which is another sector I feel kind of lends itself to reality on ground, which would probably mean that it would bounce back if at all, because I don't think we've bounced backward. I think we've pretty much in 2021. Obviously 2020 is a write-off. 2020 for every business is slow. There's deferment in decisions from customers, even for us. But overall, what you're seeing in 2021 is a massive demand trend coming up for warehousing. So I think it'll actually do better than 2019 or 2018. So 2021 or 2022 will be better than previous years.
So earlier, what we had noticed, what warehousing sector was characterized by fragmented sheds and go downs in the past. So what has led to a structured growth of this segment?
Let me let me give you a slightly long answer for that. If you kind of try and understand the past 3 years or 4 years, and then kind of I can give you an outlook for the next 3 or 4 years. Uh, 5 years ago, warehousing was not even an acronym. It was go downs, right? It was literally go down spaces. So 2016, 5 years ago from today, 2015, there was no GST in India. Our policy level initiatives were still maturing and catching up. But the e-commerce was already there. It was already started. So you already had the Flipkarts and Amazons of the world trying to penetrate India very, very aggressively, offering large discounts. You remember the days when you could buy the same item cheaper sitting at your home. Of course, that's no more the case. But now you remember you could get like an iPhone for like probably 3,000 rupees less if you bought it online versus if you just went 5 minutes down the line. So that was a penetration strategy that e-commerce companies used. People started getting used to buying online. In 2017, what happened was GST was introduced, and that was a game changer for the space because before GST, if I thought about a go down, what I would do is have it in state A and state B, and do goods transfer between state A and state B to kind of try and avoid or optimize my tax, because that's literally what go downs were for tax optimization. And most of the storage was done in the manufacturing units or in the bonded warehouses. Now what's happening is, because it actually makes sense, with GST those borders have disappeared. You no longer have the tax restrictions, so you can actually, as a customer or as a e-commerce or a logistics customer, company, you can decide, okay, this location between Maharashtra and Gujarat, or between Maharashtra and Karnataka, is actually very suitable for my network planning. It's actually very suitable for my logistical plan. So why don't I go and invest a long-term real estate solution there, where I go and buy a very high quality, I talk to a quality developer who will give me a compliant legal space, which I can invest into, right? Which can be operating for the next 10 years. That changes the game. So literally, from ticking the box and having a go down, you now are solving a real need for your business. So that changed in 2017. And like any other tax regime globally, any tax regime takes a year to stabilize. Yeah. So really, people started understanding and stabilize GST by 2018. And 2019 onwards is, I believe, which is only a year ago or a year and a half ago, is where the warehousing story really got legs and started booming. You saw a lot of new institutional players coming in. You saw foreign capital coming in very aggressively into India. You saw about $5 billion of commitment into the space. So that kind of, suddenly gave the sector a lot of legs. The underlying demand was already there. E-commerce was already there. Consumption was growing in India. So all the background noise was already there supporting the sector. What was missing was policy level changes, and the government has acted very quickly and very favorably on that. The other thing that the government did was, every major state now, at least most of them, have a warehousing policy, right? Yeah. So there's a lot of clarity. Me as a developer, when I go into Maharashtra or NCR or West Bengal, I know for a fact that if I can buy land in a particular zone, I know I will get my conversions and approvals and I can start business, right? Unlike a residential or a commercial space where, there are multiple approvals, warehousing has much lesser, much shorter approval timeline. It has more clarity, transparency into the process, because it's a new thing. So the government is, caught up with the type of investors, the type of developers are mostly institutional, right? Yeah. There is no NPA story in warehousing. There is no, apartments not selling or buildings not leasing. In fact, the vacancy is less than 3 to 4% for grade A warehousing at a country level. So those things are already going. With the Propel, over the next 5 years, what we see happening, the future of warehousing now, with this story continuing, is with same day delivery expectations of customers. So you don't want to wait. I mean, if you go online today and order a particular item, even if you go to Lenskart and order a pair of glasses, you want them now, right? Why should you wait till tomorrow morning? So that buying behavior is only going to accelerate. With that happening, with same day delivery, next day delivery becoming a normal trend, or I've heard now some customers talk about 4-hour deliveries, you will see more warehousing demand. Yeah. And not only that, you will see city center warehousing demand, right? So you will see warehouses, multi-storied warehouses within cities. So that imagine you have a mother warehouse in Bhiwandi, but closer to Mumbai city, or almost within Mumbai city, or inside the heart of Mumbai city, you have a 3-story smaller warehouse where you can keep fast moving items inside that warehouse. So as a customer, if I order it, a guy in a bike can go pick it up and bring it to my house, right? Yeah. So those trends are where you'll see more capital chase that. You'll see landowners develop warehousing rather than potentially an office or potentially a retail. I'm not saying those are sectors which will not continue to grow. They will also continue to grow very well. I think once COVID is over, retail and all that will also bounce back. But this is what I see over the next few years. The other thing that I would see would be technology, right? And we can talk about that in a minute. When you
going to come to that, yeah.
So carry on, please.
No, please go ahead. You were making a point on the technology front.
So technology in warehousing, like any other space, is a very big enabler, and it's going to continue to play a role in multiple fronts across logistics and supply chain. So for example, let me give you 2, 3 very small and simple examples which you can understand. We've all seen a Formula One car race, right? Where if the car is ready to kind of reach the pit stop, the team at the pit stop already knows that this car is coming. And by the way, because there's a sensor in the car, I know these are the problems, this is the fuel level, and they're prepared. Basically, the message is that they're prepared. Similarly, imagine if a truck is reaching a warehousing park. So, for example, our Bhiwandi park, right? We're making it IoT enabled, right?
Yeah.
So once customers grow in their technology, we will make sure and say that our park is ready for growth over the next 10 years, right? So our spaces are already provisioned to add on technology. So now imagine if the truck driver is approaching the park, imagine he already knows which warehouse within the park I need to go to. Within that warehouse, which dock do I need to park at? And by the way, my e-pass is kind of popped up on my and my paperwork is popped up on my screen in my 5,000 rupee screen in my truck. So I can now enter and exit at ease. So what that does is that technology has kind of helped me to increase or reduce my throughput time. So truck in to truck out, goods in to goods out becomes more efficient, right? So that's one kind of technological change that you will see happening over the next few years. It's already beginning to happen. The other thing, of course, you'll see is a lot more robotics and automation coming inside the warehouse. Right? So what that means from a real estate perspective is your buildings because robots need very, very flat, super flat floors to kind of maneuver themselves, right? They can't be moving around with crooked floors or broken floors. So your quality of your floor, your quality of your your column spacing, it's more technical, but that has to be planned and designed now. Because you can see the trend coming, so that when your customers move into your warehouse 5 years later, they're able to very quickly upgrade with the upgradation of technology, right? So that's how you'll see a lot more technology playing about. Warehouse management systems are becoming tighter, they're becoming more efficient, throughput requirements are becoming more aggressive. So all of that, these are some of the examples where you see technology playing a big role in warehousing.
So no, you're correct in that way that we have to adapt to the automation and the technology front. But don't you think globally e-commerce has caused a wave already in the technology innovation in warehousing, starting with say warehouse management software to smart warehouses and, as you said, to IoT. But in India, we have seen the warehouses are still rudimentary and far behind their global counterparts in terms of technology penetration. So what's your take on this? Why India has still not, or the warehouse segment has not still adapted to these technology, as we are lagging behind in comparison to other markets?
Yeah, let me give you a simple example. If you remember when mobile phones were launched globally, somewhere in the 90s, India did not have mobile phones till about 8-9 years, till even after people were using them in the US or Europe, right? So, you could see your friends there using it, but here nobody had a cell phone. And first, when a cell phone came, it was 36 rupees a minute, right, for a call. But the minute it kind of started making mass sense, we overtook everybody, right? So we have the maximum we have 1 billion cell phones, right, users today. And US has like 300 million. Similarly, the same story will happen with warehousing tech, maybe not to that degree, but once, and it's already starting. So we're already seeing customers. In fact, we're talking to one customer now who wants automatic retrieval system within a warehouse in our Bhiwandi park, right? Okay. So that means that goods can literally go in, and if you've seen those automatic parkings where the car just goes and parks itself and then comes back. Similarly, that will happen with goods. So it's starting very quickly, and I think in the next few years, once it catches on, the catch up will be very fast, right? Okay. Remember, only 2017 was when GST came in. So before that, none of this made sense. So for any tech company to plan, okay, I want to be in India, I want to have a footprint of this big, I want to invest so much money, they take 3 or 4 years to kind of plan that. So those plans are now ongoing. Companies are seriously evaluating that space. So in 2022, 2023, you'll start seeing newer solutions, more affordable solutions coming in. By 2025, 2027, you'll see them physically, a lot of them in place. By 2030, it'll be a different world, right? So that's what I believe, that's why it's not come in India yet.
So, according to the recent report by Colliers, they believe in-city warehouses will gain more traction to be used as a small distribution hubs. So, do you agree with the same? And what do you think will be the challenges in this you will face?
So yeah, as I said, a few minutes back, that in-city warehousing is definitely is happening, and it's already existent, not in a very organized way.
Yeah.
The biggest challenge here is again policy, where FSI norms and setback norms within cities needs to be clearly identified and nailed in by the government, and they are working on that. I think once that part is sorted, where as a developer exactly how much FSI you'll get on a warehouse. Does a warehouse make sense for that land? Because if you do a calculation as a landowner, if I do an office there or a resi there, do I get more height? How do I make more money there? Right.
Yeah.
That's currently not the case. So the norms of warehousing are not fully matured for in city. But I think over the next 2, 3, 4 years, you will see that change. And once that change comes, it's a no-brainer. In city warehousing in India will definitely happen. Where will it happen? I think more in the very, very expensive land cities, right? So Mumbai, hearts of Delhi, hearts of Bangalore, even certain parts of Pune. You'll see where land is very expensive, so it makes sense to go high. Yeah. So that's where you'll see multi-storied warehouses coming up.
Okay. So in the recent news, we heard Welspun has already invested in 900 crore to develop a 110-acre warehousing park in Bhiwandi, Mumbai. So please shed some light on the thought process behind this process. In this move, since there are good amount of warehousing supply in that particular area.
Yeah. So Bhiwandi, if you know, is a major. If anybody who knows warehousing knows, Bhiwandi is a very big distribution storage hub for Mumbai to service MMR, Mumbai Metropolitan Region.
Yeah.
Now, the region already has millions of square feet of stock, most of which is non-compliant. But regardless of that, it's millions of square feet of stock. It's hardly about 40 kilometers from Mumbai, so it's very, very close. You can have goods delivered same day, next day already. So it's a very, very evolved ecosystem for trucks to go in and out, very evolved ecosystem for return journeys to make sense, because there's always a return load available to trucks to be able to plan there. So it was a very obvious location for us. We've got 110 acres there. The total project is about 2.6, 2.7 million square feet, which is about 27 lakh square feet. It's pretty big. Yeah. The total project cost is roughly about 900 crores. And that's a project where we're very advanced. We've almost started construction there. We're a little delayed due to COVID, but we're completely on target because we've made up. Yeah. We've already got a lot of traction on leasing. Our plans, our financial closures are pretty much in place. So it's a good project.
Already there's a lot of assets there lying for the warehouses. Why not utilize those as well? So what was the plan behind it by having your own such a huge space in that particular area? As you said, it's all filled with warehouses there.
Because there's a lot of demand there. So for example, our park, as I said, is we're not even bothered about the leasing demand in that park. And a lot of the space is very old, right? So it's a little outdated. The new warehousing space that's required there are much taller buildings, more compliant, better flows, better infrastructure to manage rains and monsoons of Mumbai. Yeah. A host of reasons, which you can't take up an existing facility and because you'll have to demolish it to the ground. Yeah. And then rebuild it. So it's much easier to kind of just buy a fresh piece of land and build it right from day one, rather than trying to retrofit or fix something.
So we'll be seeing more of the technology innovations happening here in this particular.
Oh, 100%. So our parks are already, the first park that we're doing is, we are keeping COVID or a similar pandemic like COVID in mind. So we're already enabling the park with very high speed internet. We are enabling our security systems and our safety systems, our assembly points within the park, how labor goods move in and move out, separate gates, separate entries. So we're doing a lot of that smart infrastructure. So tomorrow, if what is the maintenance cost of the lights, the roads. We're embedding certain infrastructure technologies within our like chips within our infrastructure to give us smart building management systems. So all of that is actually basic for us. We're putting in roofs, solar panels on the roofs of our warehousing, so they make the buildings more energy efficient. Which you can use the natural sunlight to generate electricity for a few more hours, especially during the day. So there's a lot of stuff that we're doing, which we're getting a gold rating for our park in terms of energy efficiency and in terms of sustainability. Nice. The park would create about 2,700 jobs, which is which is a big pride for us, because creating employment and creating impact in these places is a big thing for us at a group level and at Welspun One level. It's something that we just normally do. So it's going to be a pretty interesting development. I'm very excited about it. Can't wait for it to come up.
Oh, that's great to know. So during COVID-19 crisis, we noticed, few investors have diversified their investments from residential and office space to warehousing. So do you think fractional investment model will gain momentum in warehousing in the coming time?
Yes, it will. I mean, I think it's very natural, where investors will soon start realizing the returns of this sector are more stable, they are safer. So let me give you a couple of reasons. So in a warehousing business, right, the customer spends almost the same amount of money inside the warehouse that I spend developing a warehouse, or sometimes the customer spends more inside the warehouse, right? So he's going to definitely stick around for a very long time, right? So my certainty and my stability of my rental cash flow is very high. So for an investor, what does an investor want? An investor looks for 2-3 things, transparency, certainty, risk, and returns, right? So, and luckily, warehousing sector offers a lot of that. The problem is that a lot of people think that they can do warehousing themselves, which is a little bit of a Superman mentality. You can't do warehousing just because it's in that herd mentality. You need a professional team like we have. You need a full-blown setup. You need a good backing. You need a lot of financial muscle. You need the ability to develop. So once you have a good team in place, you will see more and more investors wanting to put capital, even domestically, inside warehouse. So internationally, already $5 billion has been committed to Indian warehousing, right? So there's no reason why more and more fractional, non-fractional, wholesale, all formats of investments will start coming into the space.
Great. Thank you, Anshul, for joining us today on the Let's Talk Business by RealtyNXT. It was wonderful to have you, and we received some great insights on the warehousing sector.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. Have a good day.
Thank you.